Those of you on Facebook Live and YouTube, welcome to the Home Spiritual Center Sunday service, the last one for the year 2024. Our opening prayer. I get to the right page. God, the Father of all, God, the Mother of all, God bless this our world. Bless every person I have met, every face I have seen, every voice I have heard, and especially those most dear to me. Bless every city, town, and street that I have known, every place I have been, and every time I have lived. Bless every sight I have seen, every sound I have heard, every object I have touched. I marvel at each sunrise and each sunset. I participate to my fullest in the life around me and within me. I love all creation, especially the earth as God's gift and our home. In some mysterious ways, these have all fashioned me into the I am. I am that I am. God is, I am, love. Amen. Now, I don't know, Reverend Madge or Reverend Jen?
One of them will come up. It's you right now. No.
Oh.
We've had that happen before, so good morning again. Yeah, like Dig said, it's the last Sunday of the year. That's so crazy. Oh. There we go. Thank you. So I hope everybody had a really lovely Christmas, or however you choose to celebrate the holiday. Yeah, and you made it through Christmas. Yeah, it's kind of stressful sometimes. We had a beautiful Christmas blessing service on Wednesday, on Christmas evening, not Christmas Eve, Christmas evening, and we were offered the blessings of frankincense, myrrh, and gold, and then we got a hug from Mother Mary, so it was really beautiful. So we're glad for those that were able to come. It was really, really special. I know, can you believe we're just a few days away from the new year, 2025. Sounds so weird to say, 2025. Yeah. We can look at this year as coming to a close. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in our current experience, what's happening right now, or maybe what's happened a few weeks ago that we're still hanging on to, that we can overlook or we can miss what's carried us to this exact moment, what's carried us to this precise point in our lives. What's gone on this year? What's happened in our lives? This is a great time to review the past year and maybe close a chapter or two. Now, if you're in a current state or a situation of feeling like life isn't so great, like maybe crappy things keep happening to me, it may be hard to be aware of what you've accomplished and let alone celebrate any successes or wins. Because there have been some. There have been some successes and wins this year. There's been at least one thing this year that has gone your way. There's been at least one difficulty that you've overcome. There's been at least one lesson that you've learned. There's been at least one thing that you've healed or gotten closer to healing. These past 365 days have yielded something good for you. And maybe you're on the other side of that, and maybe you're celebrating your successes and your growth as it comes your way. Maybe you have the ability or the capacity to pause and be like, good job, Jennifer, or I'm proud of you. Look at me go. Celebrating those goals that you've accomplished through the year. And maybe that's professionally or socially or spiritually, physically, emotionally. Maybe this change or these changes have come from you committing to, at the beginning of this year, to something that you wanted to change. This is a really great time for us. We can take some dedicated time to review this past year. We can examine what challenges we faced and maybe analyze some things that went really, really well and maybe some things that didn't go so well. And you can decide what you want to focus on, what you want your energies to be focused on in this upcoming year. It's about taking stock of our lives and making conscious choices about our future, about our lives. Some of us participate in New Year's resolutions, maybe even dreading the beginning of the year because you start to feel the pressure to change something, to change some habit or some habit or some trait or some pattern, changing something in your lives. And the word resolution, to resolve, in itself sounds like there's something to fix. There's a problem to fix. And it generally focuses on the negative. Resolutions usually focus on the negative, and they shine a light on the things that we don't have or the things that we lack. And they're rigid, and they often yield very little or no result. What if we reframed it? What if we consider the end of the year or the beginning of the new year as a time to intend, to set intentions? Maybe we'll have a little bit more success because intentions really are more positive. They have a more positive focus and they shine a light on the things that we do have, and they're flexible and they're adaptable and they work. And it all starts with the desire to change. And we know that that's difficult. We know that changing our behaviors and our habits can be really, really tough. And many of you have heard me stand up here time after time talking about releasing sugar, not wanting to head over there and get cookies. It's hard to change. I want that sugar. I want that sugar. And we're programmed. We're really programmed, and we perceive these difficulties, and they've come up from years and years of being conditioned, because in our physical form, in our human experience, we're really hardwired to resist change or to push against change. And we talk about intention setting and manifestation a lot here at the Home Spiritual Center, but we don't have exclusive rights to it, right? It's not a new concept. I mean, we hear it all over the place now, especially with the internet. There's intention setting ceremonies. You see it on podcasts, YouTube, all the social media platforms. But my intention this morning is not to share or spend much time sharing about resolutions or intentions. I really want to talk about being congruent in your life. And I believe that can be possible by reviewing our lives. Maybe just starting with the last year. And that can really help us see where we want to make changes or adjustments. I shared a message about 2 or 3 years ago around congruence. And this word came forward for me as I was sharing with a friend. And I was talking to her about how I truly wanted to have more alignment in my life. I really wanted to walk my talk and practice what I was preaching. And she said, "Oh, you want to be congruent?" And I thought, yeah, that's right. That word felt so powerful to me. And I grabbed onto it because I really wanted to see and feel what congruence looked like in my life, or could look like in my life. I wanted to know, I gave myself an opportunity to refine and to act in direct accordance with my goals and my dreams. Being congruent also means to me that my words and my actions and my values are in alignment. And it's defined as identical form, in agreement, or in harmony. In harmony. It's putting our words into actions. It's doing what we say we're going to do, being reliable, honoring our commitments. It's about living in a manner that is in balance with who we say we are. Being in balance with who we want to be. Living in a way that feels true and authentic. acting in direct agreement with our beliefs and our values and our desires and our goals without getting caught up, because this is a hang up, without getting caught up with what others think or letting what others think or say affect us and how we live or the way that we want to create change in our lives. Because sometimes people in our lives don't want to see us change. It may be difficult for them to relate to us if we change, right? When I was in my active addiction, my friends, which really was the people that I used with, they didn't want to see me get well. They didn't want to see that because that's what tied us together. That's what bonded us together. We got to be sick together. We got to be unwell together. And the truth is, when I cleaned up my life, when I changed my behaviors, my addictions, my habits, we had nothing in common. We couldn't relate to each other any longer. And this is one of the things that can make change so difficult. Feeling alone as those relationships, maybe they end abruptly, or maybe they just sort of fall away. And I've had many share, and I've had this experience that when we start on our spiritual path or we're continuing down our path and we're changing, relationships change. Our relationships change, our connections. And it's not all bad. Sometimes we're encouraging others' growth or they're watching us, but there are changes. But as they've made adjustments to their lives, become congruent, become more in alignment with who they are or who they want to be, they've noticed these shifts in those connections. And it really makes sense to me because if someone has always known you to be a certain way, they've always known you in a certain light or to behave a certain way, it's difficult for them to know where they fit into your life or how they fit into your life, to know who they are in your life, where they stand in your life. And again, we can't get hung up or halted when we think of or allowing others' thoughts about our positive changes to affect us. We can't get hung up in that. We just release it and we affirm that we know what's best for us. We know what's best for us. And to be congruent, we need to understand what it is that we stand for. Like what are we passionate about? What really gets our hearts beating? What inspires us? It's about understanding ourselves. And we're all on a path to self-discovery and or healing, right? And the more present we are with our emotions and our reactions to life, the more we get to know ourselves. And that's why all of us are here, right? That's where we're all here, helping ourselves master every single day. So what are some ways that we get to know ourselves? Or just go a little bit deeper? Journaling, of course, is always on the top of the list. And sometimes people groan, oh, I don't want to write. But it is a really great way to get your thoughts on that paper for you to review. Writing down what inspires you, or maybe what your values are, because they change. Those things can change for us. What you're passionate about, what you believe in. We can look at our strengths, what we're solid in, what we're good at, what we're best at. What are we really, really good at? And there's lots of tools to help with that. We used Strength Finder 2.0 in the ministerial class, and you can get a personalized report that kind of identifies, assesses what your strengths are. Or maybe you ask your friends or family, or maybe you know what your strengths are. Maybe you just haven't leaned into them yet. Another way to know ourselves is to create a mission statement. And it could just be one sentence or just a little paragraph communicating what our purpose is or what our values or our ethics are. And that helps us to identify our values, to know our values, to understand them, and then to prioritize them in our lives. And then we're setting our lives up so that we can act in alignment with those beliefs and those values and those passions. We're walking our talk. We're in congruency. We're congruent. And I know my decisions have become so much easier when I understand what my values are, what I stand for, because without even realizing it, or before I even realize it, I'm in alignment with those values. Once we identify our mission or our strengths and our values, we can make a conscious effort to tap into it every single day, allowing that flow, inviting in that alignment, that harmony. Remembering, we talk about this a lot, that energy flows where attention goes, right? Meaning we can direct our focus on those things, give them a little bit more effort. We have a little bit more engagement. And we can plan out how do we want to apply our strengths throughout the day or throughout the week? Because with practice, it becomes second nature. It's like muscle memory. We call it like spiritual muscle memory. We just keep practicing every day. And maybe you choose a day, one day during the week, and take a little bit of time, an hour or so, and you sit down and you write down your values. And maybe just picking one thing that you want to work on for that week, just one thing. And I think of it as, I was telling Jerry, it's like value prepping, like a value prep, like kind of the concept of meal prepping, right? When I'm meal prepping, it's usually because I have a desired outcome, usually maybe around my nutrition. I plan out my meals so that I'm supporting my physical system, my physical body. I sit down, I write a list, hopefully having a menu in mind, go shopping, bring the food home, and prep it. If I don't have time to prep it, I at least have the ingredients in my home that are going to support me, right? I have a plan. It also saves me time and energy because my focus isn't on what I'm going to eat or if I'm going to eat right. I'm setting myself up for success. And I think we can do that with our values, also value prepping to help us practice. So for example, if I really value honesty, I can find ways in my life to be honest with others, and probably most important, honest with myself. I begin to align with those values. I'm honoring those values. I'm in harmony with honesty. And I'm giving myself the opportunity to walk my talk. Putting my words into actions. So maybe we look at our career. Are we in a career that's allowing us to be congruent? Are we involved in activities? If the time has come, boohoo, and you're in retirement, feel sorry for you. But what are you engaging in? What are you passionate about? Because I know if I'm not feeling fulfilled in my career, I am not being congruent with who I am. I'm just not finding that. Now, is HR, my current role, is that congruent with who I am? Often, most of the times, because I do believe in the values and the mission of the agency that I work for and the work that they do. And I'm blessed to have a healing practice. And with that comes responsibility as well, because I really have to walk my talk. I really have to do my work if I'm wanting to support or help others or walk beside them. But it gives me the opportunity to be congruent, to come into alignment. What about seizing opportunities and following through with them? If something comes our way and we know that it's going to allow us to use our strengths or to maybe highlight our values, we can be fearless and we can trust that this is for us, that it's for us, that the universe and the divine are opening something up for us, that they're conspiring in our favor. And all we need to do is lean into it. I read this somewhere. It says, we can make it our purpose to understand our life's purpose. We can make it our purpose to understand our life's purpose. I've shared before my involvement and in grief groups and my decision to set it down. I had come to a place where I would end a call when we were doing it virtually, or I'd leave a meeting, and I would just be incredibly triggered. I would feel really, really sad, like I was coming apart. One evening, I called a really dear friend of mine, and I was sharing with her through tears, really just pouring out my heart that I don't know if I should be doing this anymore. I keep experiencing these triggers, maybe even a little bit of compassion fatigue. And she said, well, maybe it's time to step away. And I thought, well, it's church. I won't tell you what I thought, but I was really taken back. I kind of felt punched in the gut. Like my heart kind of felt into my belly. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean step away? I was so offended. This is who I am. This is what I do. Like, grief is my jam. This is me. And I continued to hang on to that for just a little bit longer, continuing to facilitate because I felt like it was my purpose. But I wasn't feeling congruent. It wasn't congruent with my life or where I was going. And I had so much of my identity wrapped up in that group and wrapped up in that work. But my journey was not to continue down that particular path. It was getting in the way of my current purpose and my current goals. And I was getting messages all the time. I continued to get the messages, but I wasn't listening. And I was suffering. I began to look at my decision in another way. It wasn't about stepping away or letting go. It was completion. That part of my life had come to completion. My purpose was complete around that. And that was another opportunity for me to refine and to act in direct accordance with my dreams and with my goals. And just a reminder, we don't have to experience suffering to make change. I know many of us were taught that. We don't need to suffer. We don't need to make sure by hurting just a little bit longer, by hanging on to something. We can listen to the messages and the directions that we're receiving, because we do receive those directions. We honor the process of how we got to where we are. And that can come from reflection. So I encourage you and I challenge you. Here's your call to action. I challenge you to take some time over the next week or so and sit down and review the past year. Take stock, reflect on your life. What happened this past year? Those things that you're proud of. Identify your strengths and your purpose. Acknowledge and celebrate where there is harmony in your life, where there's balance in your life. And celebrate, really truly celebrate the ways that you walk your talk. Identify your passions and what you value and work on it. Work on it every single day. Walk towards them. Reflect and acknowledge the changes and the growth in your life, because there's been a lot. There's been a lot. And decide how you want to show up in the world. The ways that you are true and authentic. Live a life that is congruent to your soul's purpose. And with that, we're going to do something a little bit different. Instead of moving into meditation, I'm going to share some affirmations. And I invite you to repeat them and affirm the words, or maybe you silently repeat them. And if it feels right for you, you can put your hands over your heart or near your throat, whatever feels right. With your eyes closed if that feels good. And I'll say it and you can repeat a callback. I trust in the process of life.
I trust in the process of life.
I am always in harmony with the universe.
I am always in harmony with the universe.
All aspects of my life are in perfect harmony.
All aspects of my life are in perfect harmony.
I live in total harmony with my true life purpose.
I live in total harmony with my true life's purpose.
close. I live in total harmony with my true life purpose.
I live in total harmony with my true life's purpose.
My path ahead is lined with peace and harmony.
My path ahead is lined with peace and harmony.
I am the co-creator of my life.
I am the co-creator of my life.
My mind, body, and soul are in harmony.
My mind, body, and soul are in harmony.
I am at perfect peace in my life.
I am at perfect peace in my life.
I am grounded, centered, and peaceful.
I am grounded, centered, and peaceful.
And just allow those words to really settle into your mind and your heart and your spirit. And allow those things to be true for you. And just breathe into that. And just slowly bring your attention back to the room, carrying those affirmations with you. Thank you. Great. So now we're going to move into our offering portion of this morning. So we are grateful for whatever you are able to give, whether that's in the form of money, your service, your time, your prayers. And we're just so grateful. And whatever your gift is, just place it between your hands. Looking for my gift, there we go. And charge it up. Just charge it up with love and the energy that it will support the Home Center in the most perfect ways. And we know that whatever we're able to give, that comes back to us. And it just serves the highest purpose in our lives. And we just say, thank you, thank you. Amen. And I'll invite Dick back up for his inspirational story and prayer.
Since this is the last one of the year, I had it prepared well ahead of time. However, Friday, I came across a 2 or 3 word little bit of humor. So we're going to have the humor before we have the remembering who you truly are statement. Now, this humor, follow with me. Lead me not into temptation. Who am I kidding? Follow me, I know a shortcut. Okay. Closing statement. God's Day 43, all in good time. And this one really works. I've used it a number of times myself. It's called later is a very important word. Have you ever noticed how worldly thoughts and duties muscle in to demand your attention just as you're about to pray or meditate? Interference. Be firm with those worldly thoughts tugging at your sleeve. Simply say to them, later, all in good time. If you say no, they're going to resist and persist, but later pushes them quietly into the background so you can finish your meditation. If they pop up again, a second later will quiet those thoughts. Let them go. Today, during your meditation time, ignore the thoughts tugging at the sleeve of your mind, urging you to hurry, saying you don't have time to meditate. Say later to them and continue communicating with the source of your strength, peace, and power. Charge your soul with that divine energy, then peacefully go about your daily activities. Once you have taken care of nourishing your soul first, you will find you have all the time you need to take care of what needs to be done later. And now our closing prayer. God, on this day we ask you to grant our request. May we know who we are and what we are every moment, every day. May we be catalysts for light and love and bring inspiration to those whose eyes we meet. May we have the strength to stand tall in the face of conflict and the courage to speak our voice even when we are scared. May we have the humility to follow our heart and the passion to live our soul's desires. May we seek to know the highest truth and dismiss the pull of our lower self. May we embrace and love the totality of self, our darkness as well as our light. May we be brave enough to hear our heart, to let it soften so that we may gracefully choose faith over fear. Today is our day to surrender anything that stands between the sacredness of our humanity and our divinity. May we be covered in our holiness and engulfed by God's love. May all else melt away. And so it is, in light and love. Amen. YouTube and Facebook Live, that ends our service today. We'll see you next year. We're out of here.